Hi everyone, it's Brad and Marie from Create, and we're back to continue on our relationship series.
It's great to be with you today. And today we're talking about communicating between couples.
What an exciting topic, I know you can't wait. So we're going to cover about 6 really important principles when you want to communicate with your partner. And I think the first thing to understand is that we are very different, and that might seem like an obvious statement.
To start with, men speak on average 7,000 words a day, and women speak on average 21,000 words a day. Brett sometimes thinks I speak 40 or 50,000, but it's on average 21.
And 7,000 is on a really good day for guys because we don't like to use a lot of words. In fact, we've got one language centre up in our brain, whereas Marie, she has 5 language centres.
And men seem to speak in concepts and ideas, and women speak in emotion. And how that plays out in a relationship is quite often a man would come across in an idea and concept, and a woman's interpretation of that is they're not listening or they don't care.
Whereas we actually do, because men are very much motivated to try and fix whatever problem that Marie might be talking about. And that basic difference between our brain in terms of how we think and how we take in that information means that when Marie's communicating with me, she's more in her left brain, whereas I'm more in my right. And sometimes to get that communication right, we need to be able to switch across to the other side, particularly us guys, to be able to communicate what we're actually feeling about what's happening for us during the day.
And gentlemen, can I give you a tip? We've already got a solution to the problem. We just want you to hear the story. So don't fix it. Okay?
So when she comes to me and says that her day has been bad, she hasn't really enjoyed what's happened during the day, and she gives me all the things that have gone wrong in her day, she's not looking for a solution. She's just looking to share the experience so we can both be miserable together. How wonderful that would be.
And ladies, it's important, pick your time. You know, pick your time when you want to have a talk, and remember the words we need to talk. It freaks them out. So be aware of that. They hate it.
So when a woman comes to a guy and says we need to talk, the very first thing that goes through every man's mind is, oh my God, what have I done wrong now? So we immediately start to shut down. And of course, the moment that we do...
Look, the minute a man shuts down, a woman takes it as she's not cared for.
And that the guy is in fact not listening. So as we start to shut down, what she's going to start to do is ramp up that communication. All because of principle number 1. Pick your time when he's going to listen.
And it's very important to speak from the heart. You know, it's very different from speaking from the head where you're more inclined to attack your partner. But when you come from the heart, you use different words. You know, when you did that, Brett, it made me feel unhappy because it's a lot more diffuse in language, but we will be covering how to argue on another video. But just at the moment, be very aware of speaking from your heart whenever you communicate, not from a resentful place or an anger place, and not using accusing language.
Because quite often when a woman is coming to a guy to talk about something that she knows is not right in a relationship, and generally women will pick that up first, guys. So she is coming to you. You've got to acknowledge that she's probably got some feeling about what's not actually happening in the relationship that perhaps you haven't seen. So there's going to be some truth in what she delivers. Part of the problem comes in the way that a woman would typically deliver that message. As Marie said, the language, when you really listen to it, can be quite accusing. You haven't done this, you didn't do this on this date at this particular time, or you forgot my anniversary, you forgot my birthday.
And ask for what you want. So often we get couples together, and a common sentence a woman would say is, well, I didn't tell him it was my birthday. I didn't tell him it was our anniversary. I wanted to see if he would remember. Tell him! Set it up for success. Ask for what you want. You know, it's our anniversary next week. I'd love to go out for dinner. Set the relationship up for success. And he's not a mind reader. So tell him what you want. Help him with what you want.
So gents, when she's coming to talk to you about the 4 things we mentioned so far, you know, pick your time. Ladies, speak from the heart. Use language that's not accusing and ask for what you want. When she comes to you, what you've got to really look for is underneath that language that she's using, underneath those words, what emotional need does she really have? Emotionally, what's she seeking from you? Because when a woman comes to a man when she's feeling something's not right in the relationship, she won't come out and say that. She won't come out and say, look, I'm feeling really vulnerable right now and I need you to be with me and I just need a hug. There's no way a girl's going to ask you for that. She expects you to know her well enough to know that's what she needs. So you've got to be able to interpret past the language that she's using to really get why she's coming to you in the first place. So look for what's the emotion? What's she not getting from you? There's something that she wants.
And be careful who you're spending time with. You know, so quite often you can maybe get groups of people that can be quite contaminating. So you might get, you know, you may be with a bunch of friends who don't like their wives, who don't like their husbands, and they're constantly whinging and bitching and carrying on. And you don't really want to be around that sort of language and people. You know, so be aware of who you're spending time with, because it's very difficult if I'm with the ladies and everybody's whinging about their husbands. That's very hard for me to leave and come back to the relationship and not carry some of that with me.
Whereas for guys, we won't go down to the pub and go, hey, go on, mate, what's happening in your relationship? Whereas girls, of course, they tend to do that all the time, particularly if they're going to the hairdressers or something like that. So guys tend to take those problems and work on them themselves. So girls, when we're doing that, it doesn't mean that we don't love you or that we're running away from you. What it simply means is that we're trying to work it out ourselves. So one of the basic differences between us is the girls want to share that information so that we can have that same experience together. Whereas what guys want to do is they want to take that problem, solve it themselves and feel like, that was me, I sorted it out, and then come back and tell her how we've sorted it out.
And give them the time to do that. You know, women are more instant and you know, they're more in touch with emotions and they know what they want, they know the answer. For a man, it's a little bit different, so give him the time to go and think about it and come back with an answer. And gentlemen, you have to come back with an answer.
You can't just come back with a blank, oh my God, what am I going to say to her? Don't address the topic.
And a successful relationship is planned. You know, it doesn't just happen. You need to put effort in, you need to put time in, you need to make that effort with each other. You need to know what to drop and what to not drop. So a successful relationship is planned. It's also important to plan a date night. You know, to plan, especially when kids come along, that can be more difficult. But it's really important to treat each other like lovers, to take that time to book the restaurant, to go somewhere nice, to have that time away without the children.
So if you're going to communicate, like we said in principle number 1, pick your time. And so often what people do in relationships is they don't pick that time. They simply allow the time to sort of arise inappropriately. And creating that space, creating that date night, or just creating the time in perhaps running her a nice hot bath, going in there and having a conversation with her while she's doing that. That creates the space, or putting on some nice music in the bedroom. That creates the space where you've got the quality time together. Because these days we all lead really busy lives. We've got the kids, we've got work, we've got social responsibilities, we've got the family, and that ends up being very little time for us if you don't actually create that time.
And the best thing you can give your kids is a successful relationship.
Absolutely. They get to see the principles at work of how you really communicate. So that doesn't mean that you never argue, because of course, hey, come on, you're going to argue. It's a relationship, right? So when you do that, that's going to happen naturally. But one of the important things that came out of a study by Professor Gottman in San Francisco was that it wasn't the fact that couples argued. What was really important to determine whether a relationship was going to last long term or not was how they argued, whether they had respect for each other, whether they put the relationship first above the topic that they were talking about. So if it was money, money became secondary to the quality of the relationship and their love for one another. That made a huge difference. And I know in our own relationship that when we get that right, it makes a huge difference. Now, one of the other things that's going to happen in relationships is when you're communicating, she's going to want to communicate through stories. Guys, we want to communicate through facts. So Maria's going to come and tell me some big, long story using up at least 1/3 of that 21,000 words so that I get to understand her.
And gentlemen, if we get the facts wrong, or the date wrong, or the country wrong in our story, you don't need to correct us. It's okay, just let it go.
Because there's nothing worse. Have you ever been out with a couple where all they do is bicker and complain about each other?
Correct each other.
Terrible. I'm sure you've been out with someone like that. And there's nothing worse. So if she's telling that big long story, and it was about the holiday that you had in Thailand in 2010, and she's describing as being in Hong Kong in 2013, gentlemen, let it go. What's important to women is the emotional experience around the story, not the facts. Let her tell a story. So quite often, when you come home and all you want to do is kick the shoes off, watch TV or grab a beer and relax, she's going to want to use up a lot of those words. So you've got to be ready to absorb them all, be present and listen to her and give her that time. After that, after you've done that, after you've had time with the kids, then you can relax. Really important principle of communicating around picking the time when you're going to do it. So we've given you 6 great principles there to use. And we're going to have those available for you on the website here, so you can actually refresh your memory about those.
So until we see you the next time, catch you later.
Thanks very much, and we trust you enjoy this session. We'll be continuing on with the 7 principles of forgotten secrets and talking about the masculine and the feminine in the next couple of sessions. So we'll see you then. Thanks very much.